Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Pitstop number 3, the secret growth systems. And really, they're not much of a secret, but many people fail to use these systems in general, or they just don't use them in the right order. So today we are going to get right into it and show you the exact systems that top professionals have been using for years so that you can finally apply them to your business and start earning that money. So let's get right to it. All right, so the top earners have a flow. This flow is a system that's repeated with every single guest that they see. This flow feeds all of the numbers that we talked about in the last pit stop, and thus will propel you into success. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over each and every step in the flow right now. Step 1 in this flow is the prep work. This is where you're going to pull up your schedule for the day and you're going to see what opportunities there are to fill white space. So as you can see to the right over here, we have a full balayage or specialty foil, and then we've got some white space following it. Now, since she's just getting a balayage, I think a great opportunity here would be to add on a haircut. She could potentially need a color touch-up if she's covering gray. So it could be a color touch-up with a full balayage and a haircut added onto it if you can fit it all into that time. I know that it only takes me 10 minutes extra from Shampoo to give her a haircut, so why not add that on as well? And then in the next service here, you'll see that there's a lightener touch-up. This person might be due for a haircut, and since we're using lightener, they may be a great opportunity for a treatment. So this gives you a really good perspective on how you can look for opportunities within the white space on your column. Next, what we want you to do is look over your notes, to prepare for each one of your customers. The example is, how do you know where to go if you don't know where you've been? So it's important to look over their notes and see what you did the last time so that you can be prepared. It never fails. You get that one customer in the salon and she says, I love that thing that you did to my hair the last time, and you have no idea what that thing was. So it's important to read your notes and see what you did so that when they come in, you know exactly what to do when they ask for it. And of course, all of this prep work equals more add-ons for you. Step 2 is when your customer comes in, you want to greet them. Introduce yourself, welcome them to the salon, give a quick tour if they're new to the salon, and you want to talk about any promotions that you may have. Some salons run promotions on a continuous basis, and I just simply, welcome them and then say, have you heard about our promotion so-and-so? And this, of course, obviously promotions are a great way to add on retail. Step 3 is going to be when you have them in the chair. So you've talked about promotions, you've walked them over to your chair, and no worries. I know the consultation can be a lot for some people, so I've created a super easy checklist that you will have so that you can give consultations that will wow your guests and transform your business. Now, one thing I want to note here is to be sure that you say goodbye to that talker that comes in and get right to business. We all know her. We'll just call her Janet. She comes in, she sits down, and she starts talking about everything and anything except for what you want her to be talking about, which is what you're going to do to her hair. So here's how I like to handle Janet. I say, oh my gosh, that's crazy, Janet. However, I want to talk about your hair, what goals you have for your hair right now. And then we can jump right back into that because I want to hear about it, but let's get right into the hair right now. That kind of avoids all of the business, and you let her know that you do want to hear about it, but you want to hear about it when you're doing the actual service, not before the service, so that you can get right to work because you want to respect her time and you want to respect other people's time in your schedule as well. One other thing to note is that you want to remember your job is to deliver on solving your guests' challenges. When you solve challenges, it makes add-ons and retail so much easier. So it's important to really ask what their goals are on their hair and listen to the cues that they're giving you. Some people will say, oh gosh, I just don't get a whole lot of volume here, or my hair just always looks dry and frizzy. These are great challenges that you can create opportunities for by delivering retail detail and additional services such as smoothing and conditioning treatments. So there's so much opportunity in the consultation. And what I want to do is I want to go over the consultation checklist with you right now so that way we can get a good understanding of how to deliver an amazing consultation. So let's do it, shall we? All right, so the 5 steps to a stellar consultation. Delivering a stellar consultation is one of the most important systems to a hairstylist's success. When you follow and master this system, you will see an immediate improvement in your guest experience. Your guests will be excited to come back and tell all their friends and family about you. And as a bonus, you'll make even more money. And that, my friend, is what we want. So step 1 in a stellar consultation is to ask the right questions. My favorite question is open-ended, and it goes like this. What goals do you have for your hair? Sometimes they'll have pictures. Sometimes they just have this idea in mind. Obviously, pictures are the best way to go, but it gets right down to what their goals are. And that could be many things. Keep probing. When they say that their hair is frizzy, talk more about that because that's a challenge you're going to want to solve. If they say that their hair doesn't have volume, that's another challenge. So listen for these cues and take notes along the way. What you want to do next is ask about their past visit. This is super important because many a times we get into what I call a redundancy, where your guests come in and we just do the same thing over and over and over again. And many people will leave a salon because they just don't feel like they're getting what they want. Have you ever had that new customer who's come in and said, my last stylist just really wasn't giving me what I wanted or really wasn't giving me anything different? Well, this is how you're going to avoid that. You're going to ask, how was the last cut or color? Is there anything you might want to see different or enhanced? Next, we want to repeat what we hear them say. If I heard you correctly, you would like, could be more volume in your crown. You would like to keep the length in your haircut. You would like to see more blonde around your face. All of these things confirm to the customer that you heard what they say. And the number one reason a customer will leave a salon is because they didn't feel listened to. And this right here, my friends, is rectifying that by letting them know that you've heard them and that you're listening. The next thing is to make a recommendation. Based on what you shared, I'd recommend a smoothing shampoo or conditioner. I would recommend a smoothing treatment to eliminate that frizz. Any add-on services or retail solutions that solve those challenges that you've gathered through these probing questions. The next thing you want to do is get them excited for future visits. This look is something we can work towards over time. And on your next visit, you might want to book another highlight so that way we can get you closer and closer to that light icy blonde that you're looking for. I'll even do things like, fall is right around the corner and my wheels are turning. I have so many really great ideas to just give you a little pop of color in your hair for fall. And I can't wait to see you for your next appointment. It just sets them up for excitement for their next appointment where they're never going to want to leave because they're excited to see you again. So start practicing step 1, which is what goals do you have for your hair? And when you get the hang of it, add on step 2 and keep adding to your systems until you have this down pat. And then, of course, you just want to rinse and repeat. I am rooting for you, my friends. This is attached here to the Pitstop, so you will have it to print off and use it over and over again. And when you do this, your consultations will be amazing every single time. So now that we've nailed the consultation, we can move on to step 4, which is the shampoo. So many times I see hairdressers miss this huge opportunity, and that is to give the customer a head massage. It increases the guest experience and it increases your tip rate. I know this. It is proven. So if you want to get a little example of how to give your customers a great shampoo and head massage experience, I have a blow dry video on my YouTube channel. So you should probably go there and check that out after this course so that you can get a good idea on how to give a professional head massage. It's super quick. It only takes minutes, and it was created by one of my dear friends who is a stellar massage therapist. It hits all those right areas. And every time I do this, a customer tells me, oh my gosh, I could just fall asleep right now. They love it. So check that out when you have time. So you also want to give product explanation because this increases your credibility and retail sales. So you want to focus on those challenges that you acquired during the consultation. I know you mentioned you feel frizzy, so I'm using a softening shampoo and conditioner to start out on the right foot. And then I usually mention a benefit. This has almond in it, and almond is super conditioning and smoothing on the cuticle, and it just gets everything nice and smooth so that you have a great fresh palette to work with. I always say something like, not to mention it smells great too. So, is there a potential for value-added treatments? There could be a deep treatment for dry hair to reduce the frizz that she had talked about during her consultation. Treatments are a wonderful way to add on to your ticket, and it can be done right there at the shampoo bowl. So here's an example. If you had a $10 treatment, such as maybe a frizz reduction treatment, for dry hair, or even a Olaplex treatment for hair that needs rebuilding because it has been compromised through mechanical or lightning damage. If you added on a $10 deep treatment and you did this to 40 guests in a month, that would equal $400. Now you multiply that by 12 months in a year, that's $4,800. That is nothing to squawk out. That is a big dollar amount that is very easily added on to your ticket. So clearly for this step, we are working on add-ons and retailing. Now moving on to step 5, we are going to make sure we check in with our customers. This sometimes gets missed, unfortunately, and it really is just a good retention opportunity for your customer to let them know that you care enough to check in on them. Many times I'll see hairdressers get really, really quiet, and it just feels like uncomfortable silence. You want to engage in conversation through questions. I would say things like, do you have any plans for the rest of the day? You may be surprised what they start talking about. Do you have any vacations coming up? Those types of questions. Start getting them talking, and you'd be surprised what things you can relate to when you start getting them to open up through these open-ended questions. You also want to check in during processing time and ask if there's anything you can do for them while they're processing. I just simply say, I'm just taking a peek at your foils here. I want to make sure everything's processing properly, and check in and see if there was anything else I can get you. Step 6 is the blow dry. So now you have, they have processed, you have shampooed them. We are ready. We've completed the service. We are ready to blow dry them. And this is really where some great product education comes into play. And I usually ask one simple question at this point. How do you style your hair at home? There's no right or wrong. I just like to know so that I can work with what you do. Many times you have people come into the salon and they say, I'll never be able to do this at home. And that's simply because you didn't ask them how they style their hair at home and work with what they already do. When you do that, it shows that you're listening to them and that you care about their regime and improving their problems or challenges through retailing and anything else that you might have to offer them. When you do choose products to solve their challenges, you want to talk about what you're using, how it works to solve their challenges, and that gives them the why, so that this way they're compelled to buy the product. Again, remember, you are solving challenges, and give testimonials to increase those retail sales. I'll say things like, I have chosen to use this oil here, and I'll tell you why I'm using this oil. I'm using this oil because it is awesome as a prep for blow drying to reduce that frizz that you're experiencing. I use this one at home, and I love this. It's a miracle worker. That right there is just stellar for them. They're already sold. They're purchasing the product, and you didn't really even have to sell them. All you had to do was educate and give a testimonial about why you love that product. Step 7 is the closing. So this is where we want to start off by recapping all of the retail that you used. I'll walk them straight up to the retail center and I'll say, I want to walk you through everything that I used today so that in case you may want to add it to your arsenal. So because you're having a challenge with frizz, I chose this shampoo and conditioner to use at home. I also chose this oil here that you can use as a prep. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to apply this to your ends when it's wet and then just blow dry and style as desired. You can also put it in dry if you're still experiencing frizz. So there you go. You went over what the products were, what challenges they were solving, and how to use them. And then the last and final key to retailing recap is asking, what would you like to take home today? By doing this, it is an open-ended question of what would you like to take home? And it's not a simple yes or no. It's a, what one of these did you want? And you'd be surprised. A lot of people are so scared to do this. And what's the worst that could happen? They'll say, no, maybe not today. And okay, that's fine. But 9 times out of 10, they're walking home with a retail product. All you have to do is ask. So continuing in the closing. So now we're walking from the retail center and we're bringing them up to the front desk. And at this point, you may have a receptionist or you may be doing this on your own. Either way, it's important to follow this flow. And what we'll do is we'll talk about pre-booking next. So as soon as you have them up there, I usually say, and Janet, how many weeks do you like to go between appointments? And give them a recommendation if needed. Sometimes they're like, oh gosh, I don't know, what should I go? And then I say, oh, well, if you're getting a haircut, I usually recommend about 6 weeks. If you're getting a color touch-up, I usually recommend about 8 weeks. It really just depends upon how long you can go between appointments. Once you do this, what's happening is you are setting them up to book their next appointment. And then after you do this and you write down how many weeks and what services they're due for, you want to review the services that you already did today. Were there any changes to your tickets or any add-ons? I don't know how many times in the past I didn't have these systems in order. And when it came time, the customer had already checked out and left. And I realized that I didn't charge them for that haircut that I added on, or I didn't charge them for that deep treat that I added on. It's such a bummer because that is lost revenue. And we want to make sure that we're reviewing these services so that we can make that money. So very, very important to review the services either with yourself or with a team of your guest services so that way they are charged appropriately. And I've got some really cool tools here to help you with this. So make sure that you stay tuned. Now, what you'll want to do is you'll want to thank them. I always do this by just saying, I really enjoyed seeing you today. I can't wait to hear about. And then you can insert whatever it was that they talked about when you asked them that open-ended question of what are the plans for the rest of your day. Sometimes they say things like, oh, well, I'm going to my son's baseball game. And then you can say, I can't wait to hear all about that baseball game when I see you again. And it just lets them know that you care and that you're listening to them. They're not just another butt in the chair. They are somebody that you care about. These things are key to, building relationships. So after you thank them, there is just one last step. Remember that freebie that we created? What we're going to do now is we're going to hand it to your existing guests. This is pure gold right here, and this is going to help you fill your books. So at the end of every guest visit, you hand them one of these cards and you say, did you know anyone that you'd like to gift a free haircut to? I think you're amazing, and I feel like you might know other people that are amazing, and who wouldn't want to have a gift of a free haircut? And then you hand them the card. You'd be shocked at how many of these you get back into the salon. This is your opportunity to gain a long-term customer for only 45 minutes of your time. So what you can do when that customer actually does come in is talk about color. They most likely will upgrade right then and there if you have the time. If not, make sure you book them out for a follow-up visit, and that's setting yourself up for the future. And of course, this right here all leads us into our next chapter, which is how to fill your books. So that is going to be our next pit stop. But of course, I've got some to-dos for you so that you can walk away with everything that you need. And so what we'll want to do is we'll want to download, print, and review the Every Guest, Every Time checklist. This is going to be your key to making that money and becoming a top paid hairdresser. So the sooner you can master this and complete everything on this list with every customer, the better. Now, keep it handy when you're working with your customers and use it as your guide. Like I said, this is your profit Bible here. And then what we'll also want you to do is download and use the attached Traveler. This was that tool that I was telling you about. I call it a Traveler, and we're going to go over it right now. Use it with every guest. Just be sure that you hit all of these key elements. It makes this checklist just a little bit easier, and we're going to go over it right now. All right, guys, so here we are at the Salon Traveler, and this is a wonderful tool that is going to help you immensely. Now, this is just one side of the Traveler. What I recommend doing is printing out all of your prices on the opposite side of the Traveler. This is going to be super handy because what you're going to do with this tool is you're going to have this Traveler information on one side, and then you're going to have your prices on the other side. And you're just going to go to like Office Max or any of those office-related stores, and you're going to get these laminating sheets, and you're going to laminate this sucker. Then you're going to take a dry erase marker, and you can use this over and over and over again with every guest that you have in the salon. So print off, 4 or 5 of these, depending upon how many customers you see in a day, and laminate them. It's a tool that you're going to be able to use over and over and over again. That's just going to help you out immensely. So all of your price lists on one side. And what you'll do is this is your opportunity to check off all of the things that they're booked for today. Could be a color touch-up. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to circle things that you've added onto the service. So this is your indicator when you check out on what services you've added on and what services you may have taken off. You can just, strike a line through it to say, I've taken this off, but I've added these on. A great tool for your guest services team, if you have one, to help identify what services they need to add on. Then on the opposite side, you're going to have this information. And what you'll want is you'll want to have all of your retail purchases. So when you start your day, yourself or guest services, fill this out for your customer and have this Traveler ready for them. Of course, there's going to be their name, and then there's going to be the retail products that they've purchased in the past. This is super helpful because sometimes you'll get into the blow dry and you won't remember what you used on them. And so in this case, you'll already know, and you can check in with them, see how it's working, if they're running low on it, and potentially recommend another product that you haven't used on them already. Then, of course, the next phase here is a retail recommendation. I always write down what I recommended to them, especially if they didn't already purchase the product. If they said, no, not today, I'll write down what my recommendation is, and then I'll add that in later on into the system as a note, so that this way I know what I recommended in the past, and then I can potentially recommend it again and check in on it. And then, of course, you'll want to ask them how many weeks out they usually like to go and place that in the reserve your next appointment column here in weeks out, and then what services they might be ready for. So if it's a color touch-up again, you can write down 6 weeks out, color touch-up. This is great for guest services or even yourself if you're rebooking these customers. To have this on here so that they know what to book out next. And everything that you need to make money in your business is right here for everybody, whether it's you or somebody else who is checking that customer out. And then, of course, there's notes, any miscellaneous things. I usually like to do things like was going to a baseball game for their son, or was planning a vacation to so-and-so. These things are really important to have in your system that you'll enter on later on so that you can follow up on it when you see them again. All right, guys, so here you have it. I am super duper excited for you because these systems right here performed in this manner are going to catapult your success. I cannot stress that enough. So make sure that you complete those to-dos. Print out your traveler, print out your checklist, and start implementing these things right away. Start with small steps. Start with adding on the first step to each item on the checklist until you have this flow down pat. But when you complete everything in this manner, you are going to improve your finances extraordinarily. I cannot wait to watch you grow. I am so excited for you. Do me a favor, print these things out, start implementing them. Let me know how you're doing by sending me a DM on Instagram, and I will check in on you there if there's anything that you need along the way. Otherwise, I will see you in the next pit stop, and that is all about how to get booked out. See you then. Bye.